Audi was one of the last luxury brands to finally introduce a crossover way back in 2007. Now, since then, the model went on year after year with pretty minimal changes until now. Audi has finally given its flagship Q7 the redesign it needed. Was it worth the wait? Let's take a look and find out. You guys have pretty much heard me over and over again just how important the SUV segment here is in America, so it was pretty interesting to see Audi let the Q7 soldier on for as long as it did. I mean, going 10 years for any vehicle without pretty extensive changes is a long time, regardless of what class it competes in. Now, thankfully, Audi's Q7 has aged gracefully, even though the old first generation went on for so many years. I really loved the changes Audi made back in 2009 when they gave it the refreshed exterior with LED headlights, and then you got new engines in 2010. Now, there was no 2016 Q7. Instead, Audi decided to skip a year and then finally introduce a completely redone Q7 for 2017. Now, this vehicle used to ride on the same platform as the Porsche Cayenne and Volkswagen Touareg. Since then, Audi has moved the Q7 onto a new platform that it does not share with any other vehicles in the class, where the new Touareg and Porsche Cayenne will eventually ride on this all-new architecture. Now, you can see for the design, Audi is pretty conservative with their exterior styling, and it certainly shows in the Q7. The old one aged extremely well. You could literally look at a 2015 and it still looked relatively modern. This new one follows a lot of the current corporate Audi design themes. You still have the same single frame grille. These very sleek LED accented headlights with full LEDs on my particular tester. Bi-xenons are standard. Now, the Q7 definitely has more of a wagon look this year. Audi actually shrank this new model. The old one was a lot larger than its competitors. They shrunk it by about 1.5 inches. Wheelbase shrunk by about 1/2 inch, and it's about 1/2 inch or so narrower versus the previous generation. This is still a pretty big vehicle, stretching at around 199 inches long, about roughly 6 inches longer than your neighbor's Acura MDX or like a BMW X5. Now, you can still take the Q7 in 3 different trims, starting at the Premium, Premium Plus, and then my tester, which is the Prestige. Audi now offers only 2 engine choices on the second gen, a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder base, which I haven't driven, or the one that most of you are probably going to pick, the 3-liter T, which is actually a supercharged V6 engine with 333 horsepower. Now, the wheel sizes, they're going to range from like an 18 on the base premium model up to these 21-inch wheels on my tester, which look fantastic. This is part of the titanium black package that also wraps it in pretty fat 285 series rubber. They definitely give this Q7 a much more expensive, sporty looking stance. Now, at back, of course, you're going to have the Audi signature LED taillights that don't have the sequential LED turn signals that I've showed you on the the A4, but it's a really handsome, attractive looking SUV. Of course, because this is the flagship model, it does have a couple of features on it that you expect. For example, my tester has the adaptive chassis package, so that gives you an adjustable air suspension, which you can literally adjust the ride height by several inches from either super low for a loading floor one or all the way up to an off-road mode, where I think this thing gives you like 10 inches of ground clearance, which looks a little bit silly when the car is riding on these fat of a tires. Now, overall, I think the new Q7 certainly has its own appealing look. It doesn't kind of have the styling drama of the new Volvo XC90 that I showed you. That same goes for the interior, but I think it'll also age well, and I definitely think that a lot of buyers are going to find the latest Q7 has that premium look that you're looking for, especially when you're paying this kind of money in this segment. Even though the Q7 is Audi's flagship SUV, Intelligent Access entry is not standard. You actually have to go for at least the Premium Plus to get it. Here's the current key fob for the Q7. It's the same key that I showed you in the A4. It looks nice, feels good in your hands. I really like the details of it. My tester being the Prestige does come with that Intelligent Access feature. To lock the door, just push this or rest your finger on this little pad here, That locks the doors. The mirrors also electrically fold in. You can turn that on and off in the customizable settings. To unlock the door, just touch your finger or your hand on the back of the handle, and that will unlock the door for you. Now, looking at the inside of the latest Q7, you can see it has a lot of the design language that I showed you guys in the all-new A4. My tester has these brown leather seats, which are supremely comfortable. It's missing a luxury package, though, that rolls in massage seats, but at least they are heated and cooled. You have a 2-person memory as well. Now, stepping inside the Q7, it has a really easy step in height. You kind of expect that in this class of vehicle. Of course, you can change that. I have it in its dynamic setting now, which is kind of the lower end, so this makes it really easy to get in and out of. In off-road mode, it's definitely a little bit harder. Now, when you shut the door, it sounds nice and solid. Typical of a German car, you really expect that in this class. Now, to start the vehicle up, all you have to do is keep the key inside the vehicle, put your foot on the brake, and then push this button here to fire up the engine. Now you can see here that my tester obviously has the Audi virtual cockpit. It has a rising screen here for the MMI display, which is 8.8 inches or 8.3 inches, I'm sorry. That is the upgraded display. And my tester also has the lovely Bang & Olufsen audio system. So when you turn, or this is like a $5,000 option, those speakers in the front here, they rise up whenever the audio system actually turns on. It sounds phenomenal. This is literally one of the best sounding audio systems in the business. Totally worth the $5,000 that Audi is charging. Now, looking at the rest of the interior here, it's a pretty nice environment. It definitely has some premium elements in it. It has really nice LED accented lighting throughout the silver trim that you see here, which you can change the color. It's really nice at night. However, the materials in here, while they are very much class competitive, the Volvo XC90's interior simply just blows this away in terms of a special feeling. I mean, the dash is soft touch, but I'm surprised it's not leather stitched like what I saw in the Volvo. You have some nice dark finish wood grain where you can change this trim if you'd like. The door panels here, again, they're soft touch like the dashboard, but I'm so surprised it's not leather stitched. You have an aluminum door handle here. It is nice and leather padded right here where your elbows are going to rest. The windows are one-touch automatic for all four. You kind of expect that in a vehicle in this class. The steering wheel is also power, tilt, and telescoping. You actually get that only on the Premium Plus models and up. The Premium trim will have a manual tilt telescoping wheel. And you can see here, the center stack is relatively clean. There are a good amount of buttons, but there's also some good knobs, so everything is well labeled. I really love the Audi virtual cockpit display. I mean, this is really an industry standard in terms of technology. This is better than what Volvo puts in the XC90, even though they have a very similar display. You can see here, what makes it so unique is the Google Earth function. I mean, check this out. This is fantastic. It's literally what you see on your computer. You push this little view button here, you can make the gauges bigger if you prefer to have bigger gauges, or if you want, you can cycle between your phone, your audio right there. This is basically your trip computer where, again, if you push this, it shows you a very cool representation of what's going on with the vehicle. Love this display here with the navigation that you can put right there, or you can also, you know, flip this switch here and you can put the map up there, so you can literally have two map displays if you want. My Prestige trim also has a nice heads-up display that is standard on the Prestige trim, only available on the Prestige trim. You have to get this trim to get that feature. Now looking down here, you can see you have 4-zone automatic climate control. I have it on sync right now, but you can see this is kind of a touch sensitive thing. If you just touch it, it kind of makes the icon a little bit bigger to see what the setting is currently at. Again, you can see here it's got a 4-zone climate, so each of the rear seats can have their own separate control. This one also has ventilated seats or heated seats. It's missing the luxury package that rolls in a massage function. That's what the Volvo has, but you can get it if you guys want that massage function. Again, very nice. This controls your Audi drive mode selector. It cycles between several different modes. There's actually a lift off-road mode, which shuts off at like higher speeds, like around 20 miles an hour. Again, it rises up the suspension and gives you pretty amazing ground clearance for a vehicle like this. Or you can see you can also go to an all-road, comfort, auto, dynamic, individual. That's where you can set everything. I personally will have it in probably dynamic most of the time. It's a really nice, cool system here to show a representation of that. Now the steering wheel, it's a very large steering wheel. It feels premium though. Has nice leather, nice bolstering extension. I wish the rim was a little bit smaller, but I'm sorry, the diameter of the wheel is a little bit smaller. I like how fat the rim is, but you know, this is an SUV. It's a luxury SUV. It's not, you're gonna be attacking corners in this. At least Audi still gave you some paddles, although they are a little bit cheap feeling. They're just plastic. I'm surprised Audi didn't make them aluminum. They usually are good at, you know, little details like that. Looking down here on the center stack, this controls the 8-speed ZF sourced automatic. It's the only transmission available. It's basically like the A4. You have to push this little button here to access your gear. So push forward, that goes into reverse, pull back, that goes into drive, slap it over here, you get a manual shift mode, and then park is from this little button here. You push park, it goes into park there. Now when you put the vehicle into reverse, obviously you're gonna have standard front and rear parking sensors. That's standard on every trim. And my tester, being the Prestige, also gives you, you know, a 360-degree view. There's the rear view. This is the 360 view, so it's got 4 cameras around. You can also look at the front view here, and you can look at a different front view and then a slightly different rear view if you'd like. So lots of views here. There's basically no reason why you should hit something. One thing that my car does not have is automatic parallel parking feature. I don't believe it's available on this car, so I'm not sure why Audi didn't decide to include it. A lot of its competitors, again, give you that feature, including the XC90. Now going to the rest of the display here, this is the latest version of Audi's MMI interface. You can see here pushing the menu button, that takes you to all your different sources. Now this is not a touch screen, it's too far away, and I'm happy to report if you don't like the screen being up there, just push this button here and that makes the screen go away. A lot of the other Audi products like the A4, the screen is fixed, so it's nice that Audi still gives you the option. The screen is a little bit on the small side, I must say. It's an 8.3-inch display. I kind of wish they went with a 10-inch display because that's kind of where the norm is going to. I showed you about the map. Obviously it has Google Earth. This control here, go to your vehicle's information. This will show, you know, what drive mode you are. If you flip the little controller here to the left, that'll allow you to change so many different things. I mean, with any luxury car, you can literally make so many adjustments to, you know, the entire vehicle itself, just kind of customize it to your liking. When you're going to your radio sources here, you can see I've got it on the satellite radio. There's your, you know, iPod integration. There's AM, FM. There's HD radio. This car also comes standard with Android Auto and CarPlay. So if your phone is plugged in, you can actually just access it and use the Android Auto and CarPlay, which is definitely a nice feature to have, which my phone right now is not currently allowing it to work. So again, sometimes you kind of have to restart your phone. It really just depends on your phone. But overall, the interface, one of the best in the business. Love Audi's MMI display. I also love this huge writing pad because you can literally write, like hand write the destination when you're looking at a destination search. There's also access to your presets as well, which is nice, or you can access your presets from the volume knob here if you just kind of flick it over to the left or the right. So again, Audi's made this relatively easy to use. It just takes a little bit of a learning curve as you basically try to get used to how everything in the system works. Down here, there's nice little storage here. There's some cup holders there. There's also more storage there with a 12-volt. Looking in the center console here, I really like how each of the armrests adjust individually depending on, you know, who's sitting here and whatnot. That's a nice customizable feature. There's a slight amount of storage in there. There's 2 USB ports and aux port. You can see I've managed to cram a pretty good amount of things in there. The glove compartment, it's a relatively good size. It's damped, lined with felt. Again, you expect that in this class of vehicle. And then above you, there's a standard panoramic sunroof. A lot of the competitors in this class don't offer it, or they make it like a $2,000 option. It's nice that Audi gives this to you as standard equipment, even on the base trims. And then of course there is basically all LED lighting throughout the cabin that you'll get on the upper trims, the Premium Plus and up, which definitely makes this a much more premium environment, something that you expect in this segment. The rear seat of the Q7 is also a very important aspect in this class. You can see this car doesn't disappoint. It will seat 7. It comes standard with 7-passenger seating, but the second row is also very roomy. It's got very high quality carpeting. It's got a very wide vehicle, so you can easily fit 3 people across. The seats themselves here, they actually slide forward and back to give you, you know, more space if you need to. This is with it all the way back. You can also slide it forward to give, you know, rear seat passengers in the third row a little bit more space. Now, getting inside the vehicle, it has a really easy step in height, just like the front seats, and then when you shut the door, it sounds just as solid as the front seats. Really was expecting that. You can see here there's rear seat vents, there's your own separate climate controls. My tester also does not have heated rear seats, however. That is part of a luxury package or a cold weather package that my tester does not have, that also rolls in a heated steering wheel. So it's a little bit silly that they didn't include that as standard equipment, especially on this Prestige trim. For $500 they may as well just thrown it in. You can see here there's a nice little armrest here with some cup holders. There's 2 map pockets here, and then on the door panels you can see there's also manual sunshades, which is definitely nice. And then the panels here are also soft touch. There's and it looks like an ashtray over there, which is interesting that they put that in here. And then you can see here everything in the materials back here are pretty much the same as what you find in the front seats. So accessing the third row in the Q7 isn't quite as easy as some of the competitors. Audi kind of makes you do 2 steps to fold these seats forward. First of all, you have to pull on this lever here, which makes the seat come down. Make sure it's all the way down till it clicks, and then you want to push this up and then pull this up until it clicks. And the car will actually tell you that this is unlatched, but you can see here when you flip this forward, there is a decent amount of space to get to the third row. The MDX definitely has an easier mechanism where you just push a button and everything just kind of electrically slides forward. This button here, which is also in the rear, allows you to fold the rear seats down if you'd like. It's actually an electrically folding rear seat, so that's pretty nice. You can see the headrest will also come down. Now, let me step back here and show you guys the space. It's definitely reserved mostly for kids, but when you get back here, fold down the seat, watch your feet too, because that can literally crush your foot if you're not careful. You want to pull this here. This makes the backrest come back up, which again, it kind of locks in a weird position, but let's try that one more time. When you get back here, this is where the seat kind of slid forward a little bit. The space is definitely tight. I mean, this is not as bad as some other vehicles. I believe the XC90 was pretty comparable. Same with the MDX. There's only 2 seats back here, of course. It doesn't fit 3 like in some competing vehicles. But you can see the pano sunroof definitely, gives you a little bit more of a nicer view. The seats definitely sit on the low side. My knees are kind of in the air. I'm only 5'7". And then back here, the materials are hard touch plastic, surprisingly, but there is some nice plush carpeting on some of the different areas of the interior. Now, a hands-free power tailgate is actually standard on the Premium Plus trims and up. My tester, being a Prestige, has the feature, of course. And the weakest link of the Q7 is actually its cargo capacity. With all seats in place, you're looking at a pretty paltry, like 15 cubic feet of space, which is not really much more than what you get in a lot of sedans. Now, surprisingly, there is no storage underneath here. Instead, you have stuff for the stereo system, and there is also no spare tire. Audi instead gives you run flats in this car, so you're going to have to deal with that if you guys want to have a spare tire or prefer one. Now, the seats, as I said, they are electrically folding. If you push this button here, the seats easily fold down, and they're pretty quick, actually. So when you fold down the third row, you're going to get around 37.5 cubic feet of space, and then when you fold down the second row, you get around 72 cubic feet of space. Now, most of the competitors in this segment offer about 10 to 20 cubic feet more space, so as long as you're okay with that, just know that the Q7 has a little bit less space than a lot of its competitors. Under the hood of the Q7, there isn't really much to see. It's very much covered in plastic, which is a shame because the engine actually underneath here is probably the best part of the Q7. This is Audi's 3-liter TFSI direct injection V6. Now, you think it'd be a turbo engine, but it's actually a supercharged V6. Now, it's funny because Audi actually has a new 3-liter V6 that is twin turbocharged, like one of those hot V configurations that a lot of the modern engines are going to. Now, surprisingly, this engine is still pretty good, and it makes pretty good numbers as well. 333 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. Now, there is also an engine that you could step down to, a base 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder that I showed you in the A4. That makes 252 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. Now, in the A4, it was great. However, this vehicle weighs around 5,000 pounds, so I haven't driven the 4-cylinder, but I will say that the V6 is well matched to this vehicle in general. It's one of the best aspects of the Q7. It's a much better engine versus that 2-liter 4-cylinder in the Volvo XC90. Now, you would think that fuel economy would suffer, but it's rated at 19 in the city, 25 on the highway. About average for the class. An MDX does a little bit better, but again, this is supercharged, it has more power, and it weighs a lot more. Now, properly equipped, this car will tow a pretty good amount, about 7,700 pounds, so that's really in the top of its class. It all goes through standard quattro all-wheel drive. There's no front drive model on this car, and through that 8-speed ZF-sourced automatic. 0 to 60 times are under 6 seconds, but we'll go on to the test drive and see how it all works. So if I remember correctly, the last Q7 I showed you was at least like 4 or maybe 3 years ago. It was a first generation model. And I believe it had just the naturally aspirated 4.2 liter V8, which was a great motor at the time. Now, when this 3-liter supercharged V6 replaced it, a lot of people kind of complained and moaned, but honestly, in my initial drive, it really is a great motor for this car. It moves out the Q7 smartly, even though this vehicle weighs 5,000 pounds. And one thing about this car that surprised me is just how small it feels from behind the wheel. This is one of the larger entries in the segment, but it doesn't feel that way when you are driving, especially especially when you put the drive mode selector here into its dynamic setting. It automatically puts the engine into its sport mode. Let's see how it does when the entire car basically hunkers down when you floor it. Now, one thing about this car that surprised me is the exhaust. It actually makes that nice little burble slash fart from the exhaust whenever it shifts, and it shifts really well. This is the ZF 8-speed automatic that we all love. I mean, this is one of the best transmissions in the industry. Never mind the fact that it is maybe down a gear or two compared to a lot of the new transmissions, but this car has a pretty effortless powertrain, and the engine itself makes a pretty pleasing sound when you push it. And I have to say, the noise is far better than what I heard in the XC90. I mean, that 4-cylinder turbo and supercharged in that car, while it did feel similar to this car, the sounds it made just sometimes weren't always pleasant. And that's a problem in a car that you're spending, this kind of money in. And this is where the V6 in this car is great. Now, the ride quality is also wonderful. This car has the adaptive air suspension, which also rolls in 4-wheel steering. This is the first Audi I've driven with 4-wheel steering. And it makes this car extremely nimble, and it rides really well. Even in dynamic mode, its stiffest setting, this car just absorbs the bumps. Even though it has 21-inch wheels, you really don't feel much in terms of the road imperfections. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. For a big 7-seater SUV, this thing really hustles. It'll impress you when you first put your foot down. Now, 0 to 60 times, Audi says it's like 5.9 seconds. It feels about right. I mean, I've seen it as quick as 5.5, which makes it about a half second quicker than the Volvo XC90. Pretty much one of the quickest entries in the segment, unless you go for the V8s that some of the competitors offer. This is quicker than that Cadillac Escalade that I drove, the most recent ones, and it feels great. This car seriously goes down the road with a plantedness, a solid feeling that you expect of a German car. Now, the steering is one thing that I want to talk about because Audis typically have very numb steering. The Q7 is not really an exception. However, in dynamic mode, the steering has a relatively quick amount of response to it. And it is sharp enough. It's just, of course, kind of numb. But again, this is a family crossover SUV. You're not going to be going to the track, attacking those, corners and such. But on your favorite back road, the Q7 can really hold its own. The visibility in here is also excellent. You have really great sight lines, huge mirrors. My tester does have the Audi side assist with cross traffic alert. And it's just a really fantastic driving car. That you really will enjoy hustling along your favorite back road. Now, speaking of which, when you want to just drive this car normally, I'll put it into its comfort setting here. It'll actually rise the car up slightly. And this car still drives really, really well. I was expecting it to be a boat in comfort mode. It's not. The suspension definitely gets a little bit softer. You honestly don't even notice this car has 21-inch wheels. The steering gets a little bit lighter. And the seats in this car are so comfortable, so soft. Not much lateral support, so you do find yourself wiggling around a lot. But again, this isn't a sports car. But really, it's the quietness of this interior. Easily one of the quietest cabins in the segment. Really, really hushed interior, even though my tester has these big wheels and tires with these, 285 series low profiles, summer tires as well. The quietness in here is just insane. Now, one thing that I want to criticize Audi is the fact that this car is pretty darn expensive, and it doesn't have adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assistance or active lane keep assist. It does have blind spot monitoring with a cross traffic alert and automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, but it is missing that driver assistance package for like $2,400. At this price point, I think Audi should have made it standard on the Prestige trim, optional. It is optional on the Premium Plus and the Prestige, but it just seems a little bit of an insult considering that this car is missing those features when it comes standard on like a $24,000 Toyota RAV4. Now in turns, that's where you really fear the 4-wheel steering. This car has a remarkably small turning radius, and then when you go around some corners here, the back wheels will actually turn opposite direction of the front And this is just one immensely fun vehicle for something that seats 7. I mean, it should be against the laws of physics, but Audi really is testing the laws of physics here with this all-new Q7. It's definitely one of the sportier driving crossovers in the segment. It sounds better. It pulls a little bit faster than the XC90. The steering, both cars are relatively push. They're about the same, but really it's the Volvo's styling that's more emotional. The interior of the Volvo is nicer versus this car. But again, this is not bad. It's just pretty much at the norm where the Volvo sets the standard even higher. Now let's talk a little bit about the gas mileage, because this V6 model is rated at 1925. If you want the 4-cylinder, it doesn't get much better gas mileage. It's like 2025. You buy the 4-cylinder because it's cheaper, not because it gets better gas mileage. I've actually been averaging around 19.5 miles per gallon, so right there with the city range. On the highway, I was able to push it to around 24 miles per gallon, so not bad MPG for something that is this big, that weighs 5,000 pounds. The pricing of the Q7 also is something I want to talk about, obviously. This car starts at $49,000 for a premium model with Quattro that is standard. That actually is not bad. It's actually around 5,000 more than what you'd spend on a base model MDX. Same with the Volvo, but just keep in mind the Volvo is 45 grand if you guys go for a 5-passenger T5 model. This comes standard with 7 seats. If you want 7 seats in the Volvo, you have to go to at least a T6, which starts at around 52 grand. So the Audi actually has the value built in. This is still a pretty value-oriented car. If you're going to look at a Mercedes GLS, that's going to be around 68 grand. An X5 is going to be, around this price as well. But again, an X5 is smaller. It doesn't come standard with a 3rd row. Now, if you want to go up to a premium plus trim, that's going to cost you around 4 grand more. The V6 option is around $6,500. So the 4-cylinder is pretty inexpensive. Just keep in mind, you buy it for a price point, $6,500 gets you the V6. My Prestige trim is considerably more expensive. It's about almost 10 grand more over a premium model with the V6. This car starts at $65,000, which again, it's a good amount of money. The Q7 definitely has that premium feel that its Japanese competitors just don't have. My Tester has several options. $5,000 for the Bang & Olufsen audio, $4,000 for adaptive chassis. It's got the heated and cooled seats in My Tester, but it is missing like the warm weather package that gives you a couple of other extras in it. And then My Tester also has the titanium black package for like another 2,000 bucks. All in, My Tester is around 77 grand. Definitely a lot of money, about 20 grand more than an MDX, but does it feel $20,000 more expensive? Yes, there are definitely times where this car feels like it's a much more expensive car. And keep in mind, My Tester is pretty lightly optioned. It's missing the driver assistance. It's missing the luxury package for 6 grand. You could option up a Q7 to be almost 90,000 bucks if you wanted to, like 89 grand. A lot of money, I know, but if you can afford a vehicle in this segment, the Q7 is definitely one of the best vehicles on the market. Just know that it's not quite as emotionally, satisfying to look at as the new Volvo XC90, but as in terms of a daily driver, in terms of the engine performance, in terms of the space, this one really is in a class all its own. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2017 Audi Q7 3-liter T Prestige. If you're looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.